As we move into mid-career and the halftime of life, many of the routines that once shaped our days begin to change. And this podcast, this show is all about helping those at mid-career, halftime of life move forward with answering what's next. So the demands of raising a family lessen, careers evolve or they completely change, and new opportunities and responsibilities, all of those emerge. And instead of having every hour spoken for, we suddenly just have more choices about how to spend our time. And that freedom is a tremendous gift, but it also requires intentionality. And if we don't design our lives around what matters most, it's easy just to fill our calendars up with activities while neglecting really our deeper purpose. So today we are going to explore how developing healthy daily, weekly, and monthly rhythms can help you build a lifestyle that reflects your values, supports your goals, and creates a more purposeful and fulfilling next chapter. So stay tuned. Many talented mid-career professionals reach a point where they ask, what's next? They have experience, skills, and wisdom, but lack a clear roadmap for their next chapter. We provide the framework and guidance to help you get there. Check out our courses and offers. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Life has a rhythm, whether we intentionally create one or not. And the question is, who is setting the tempo? For many of us, during the first half of our lives, our rhythm was established by outside demands. Careers dictated our schedules. Children filled our calendars with sports, school events, and activities. Family obligations, deadlines, and responsibilities determined when we woke up and what we accomplished, often how we spent our weekends. I remember those days with fondness. Yet I also remember how busy they were. And then something changes. Our children become adults. Amazing how that happens. Careers shift or they plateau. Retirement appears on the horizon. Or maybe we've already stepped into part of it at least. Parents begin needing care instead of providing it. And so suddenly the structure that once governed our lives, it just disappears. And while that freedom can be exciting, it can also be a bit unsettling. Without intentional rhythms, it's surprisingly easy to drift. Have you ever had days like that? They're filled with activity, but there's not necessarily progress. You wonder, what did I really get done? Weeks pass, and then we wonder, where did the weeks go? We become busy without becoming purposeful. One of the greatest opportunities at mid-career, or what I call our power of after stage, is that we now have the freedom to create a lifestyle that reflects our deepest values instead of just reacting to everyone else's priorities. And on this show, I try to have some of those guests in who have created some of those amazing next chapters of their life. Purposeful living doesn't always happen just by chance. It grows from intentional rhythms. Now, I've been in a career using and loving rhythm, and I know the value of establishing it in a musical composition. But it's just as valuable in life. Rhythm creates freedom. Now, many people think routines eliminate creativity, and I've found exactly the opposite. Rhythm creates freedom because it removes unnecessary decisions. And professional musicians understand this extremely well. Music isn't just random notes scattered across the page. It becomes alive because rhythm provides structure. And within that structure, creativity flourishes. For instance, in a jazz combo, the rhythm starts with a strong, solid beat by the drummer. If you've ever been a musician playing with an uneven drummer, it's frustrating. That rhythm, that strong, solid beat, is locked in with a bass player's notes. And this groundwork creates a solid foundation for other instruments to add additional notes, chords, and fun improvisational passages. And life works much the same way. When our days have a solid foundational beat, we actually create more space to layer in creative thinking, layering in meaningful relationships, productive work, and personal growth. And rather than feeling just confined, we become more intentional and even create more freedom for those last minute things that just tend to slip in our schedules. So within that freedom, instead of asking, what should I do? We ask, what kind of life do I really want to create? Perhaps you want more time with grandchildren. Maybe you'd like to launch a consulting business. Perhaps you've dreamed of just writing a book or a memoir, traveling more, volunteering, mentoring younger professionals, or developing a nonprofit organization. There's no single correct answer. The important question is to ask whether your daily and weekly rhythms support the life you say you want. If they don't, well, you have the power and the ability to change that rhythm. Let's talk about monthly rhythms and thinking beyond today. One of the healthiest habits we can develop is stepping back once each month to gain perspective. It's easy to become just trapped by immediate demands. And monthly rhythms allow us just to kind of zoom out a little bit. And at the beginning of every month, consider asking yourself some questions. What are my 3 most important priorities? What relationships deserve extra attention? What projects move me closer to my long-term purpose? Where should I invest my time? What needs to be eliminated? I mean, recently my husband asks those questions. I see him do this pretty much around most every holiday, making sure that he spends time with his uncle, his only surviving um, family member on that side, 95 years old. It was important to have lunch with with that uncle. That's part of his priority, part of his scheduling. It takes time, it takes effort. Monthly planning isn't about filling every single available hour. It's about creating margin for what matters most, because sometimes those times are lost. And it's also an excellent time to schedule meaningful experiences, such as travel. I've talked before about this. These are the travel years for my husband and I. If we don't travel now, we've seen that window close for people. We saw it close for our parents. These are the travel years. Family gatherings. It's important for us visiting family, volunteer opportunities, learning experiences, business conferences, creative retreats. Very important. If those things are not scheduled, they often just remain dreams and wishes. Napoleon Hill, you may remember this quote. He famously said, "A goal is a dream with a deadline." And to take this further, I like to say a dream becomes a goal when you give it a deadline, and a goal becomes reality when you schedule it and do the work. So let's talk about our weekly rhythms. We just talked about those monthly rhythms. It's kind of the big picture, monthly rhythms, yearly rhythms. But weekly, you want to keep the main thing the main thing. While monthly planning, it provides the direction. Weekly rhythms, it creates our momentum. And every week offers just this fresh opportunity to align our actions with our values. I first wrote about both monthly and weekly rhythms in my book, Women at Halftime. If you've not seen this, it's on Amazon, all versions. And consider creating categories rather than simply checking off endless tasks. It's easy to create a simple chart on Excel or another program that's customized just for your own use. It can be very, very simple, very easy to access. For example, you can put a couple of these things in and under these titles, the personal and professional growth. What about some of these items on your list? Reading. What are you reading right now? Listening counts. Listen to Audible books. It's so easy to get those books. Read. What tools are you learning, such as AI tools? So many available. What professional development are you pursuing? There's so many online classes. Personal reflection, very important. What about health? Are you exercising? Are you planning your meals? How much sleep are you getting? And are you walking? Walk outdoors. It's so refreshing. And if it's hot, go early in the day. If it's cold, bundle up. Relationships, date night. Ah, very important still for my husband and I to have date nights. We've been married a lot of years. That's never ended. Family meals. It's important for us to spend time with our kids when we can. We have to travel to see them sometimes, but it's great. Calling a friend, networking. And what about purposeful work? What are you doing in your work? Retirement doesn't mean just that work ends. Sometimes it's just you're able to do more purposeful work of things you want to do, such as maybe writing, speaking, podcast recording. It's becoming easier and easier to do this. Business development. What about ministry? Outreach. There's so many outreach opportunities. Volunteering. This is a country where we can volunteer freely. When every week intentionally includes the areas that you specify, balance becomes much easier to maintain. And rather than just living reactively and being frustrated and anxious, we begin living proactively. Daily habits shape our future. Our lives are rarely changed by just these dramatic moments. They're changed by the repetition of actions that become habits. Small disciplines practiced consistently become extraordinary over time. Morning routines are especially powerful because they establish the direction of the day. I love mornings. Some people don't like them as much as I do, but I really like them because they really do set a pattern for the day. For me, spending time reading a bit of scripture, journaling, putting my thoughts down on paper, it helps me just understand sometimes really what I'm thinking. Exercising, I like to get the exercise done early, get it done with. And then just reflecting, taking a walk outside. It creates clarity before so many other distractions begin, before all of the extra phone calls, before the extra emails, before I'm just bombarded most every day. And your routine may look different. Now I'm self-employed. I'm still bombarded and I'm very self-driven. And the important point to all of this is consistency. Even my father emphasized this in the last weeks of his life. Such a great memory. I questioned why he needed to comb his hair before going to bed. It was like I was watching that evening routine. We were doing some of his care at this point. And his comment to me, routine. That was it. Routine. His life was built upon solid routines. Never rushed or anxious. I never saw him just out of control. But he was extremely effective in so many areas. He was a giving man. I was always able to talk to him if I needed to or wanted to. But he was very busy, very productive, extremely. Fire captain, and he built buildings. I mean, he was extremely busy. But he always had time to sit down and talk and he loved that. Healthy habits reduce decision fatigue, and they also reinforce the person that we're becoming. So ask yourself, what habits or routines support the future I want to create? And I've not mentioned this yet, but if you've not gone through your core values lately, make sure that you do. all of this can be based on those values. I talk about this quite a bit in my book, Stop Circling. I'll put a link to it in the show notes and in the article that comes with this. Make sure you check it out. Take the time to identify at least one habit, just one small project, then begin. And you master that one single little routine. Routine could be combing the hair before bed, right? One small little routine or habit before adding another. And this principle is talked about in many books, in small habits, how to start them, such as putting your shoes by the front door, or putting them even in the bathroom when you wake up. Go, oh, that's reminding me I need to take a walk this morning. Just one small step, and it'll help you achieve another step. This decreases the feeling of overwhelm, and it increases satisfaction and a feeling of fulfillment. I put my clothes in the bathroom for the workout the next morning. I don't have to think about it. They're there. Automatically, I can put them on, get up, and go. Create space for your side project. Now, I like to talk about this because one exciting aspect of the halftime of life is finally having time and the mental space to pursue interests that may have waited just for years. And perhaps you've always wanted to start a podcast or write a book or build an online course, launch a consulting business, mentor younger leaders, serve on a nonprofit board, develop a creative hobby, or learn another language. And I help people with some of these things to be able to move on. I help them with their goals. I can do that. But many people just wait for someday or after retirement. But someday isn't just a day on the calendar. And retirement, hey, it brings its own set of delayed projects and sometimes delayed health decisions. Ooh, I've heard that many times. A purposeful decision with action requires scheduled time. Even 2 to 3 focused hours each week can produce remarkable progress for a side project over a year's time. Consistency wins over mere intensity. I'm going to say that again. Consistency wins over mere intensity. It's a tortoise and the hare, right? Back to that simple story, consistency. Invest in experiences, not just possessions. This I wanted to hit because I feel it's important. About 6 to 7 years before we lost my parents, we started giving them tickets to a dinner theater show that we could attend with them. It was a gift to them as well as a huge gift to us. They didn't need any more possessions. What they appreciated was time together. And those times also became so valuable to us with special memories that we'll never forget. And one memory was my father's amazement that the theater was able to produce actual rain on stage for a performance of the song Singin' in the Rain. Oh, he never stopped talking about it. It makes me smile. Even now, he's trying to figure out how in the world did they do that? And of course, they loved eating while they watched the show. It was so fun just to see the smile on their faces. And as we mature, our priorities often shift. Experiences become increasingly valuable. We're trying to hint that to our kids right now. And travel creates memories as well. Friends that we meet on those travels, they extend sometimes for years. I keep up with many of those friends every single year as I still send out Christmas cards. Even though we never get to see them in person again sometimes. I mean, sometimes we do, but it's fun to keep up with their lives even just through a message during the holidays because it brings back the memories of the times that we did share together. Because many times on those trips, you spend a lot of time with new friends. And time with family also strengthens relationships. I've mentioned before, part of our travel is to visit our kids, some which are across the country. It takes extra time, resources, and effort. Oh, but it's truly, truly worth it. They need it, and so do we. Learning also expands opportunities. There's so many online learning experiences available in most every topic. There's no excuse for boredom in this area, believe me. One of the greatest gifts that we can give ourselves is permission to invest in experiences that enrich our lives instead of continually accumulating more possessions. So those experiences become part of our story, and sometimes we're able to impart to others what we've learned. And all of this becomes a part of our legacy. I've created some online courses extremely effective and kind of a mentorship role. If you're interested, those links are also in the show notes. But it's very important at this stage of my life that I can impart some of that expertise and information. Another thing I wanted to uh, actually talk about here is to leave room for relationships. One danger of purposeful living is becoming so focused on projects that we neglect people. Now, this is especially true for those introverted personalities and for those who are working all by themselves. Now, honestly, I find myself in this category at times as I literally can work all day long and not see anyone else but the birds and the squirrels and, of course, my little dog. So, intentionality has become extremely important in developing and keeping relationships. Our greatest accomplishments, they rarely happen alone. Healthy rhythms intentionally include others. And so here are some ideas. And I'm taking this to heart as well. And I consistently put these on my calendar. Call an old friend. And sometimes this is better than sending a text. Recently, I made a couple of phone calls. I was my phone's right there. I'm starting to text. I think, no, I need to make a call. And it's just so nice to hear the voice. Invite neighbors for dinner. It can be very, very simple. And it's more about just spending time together than the food. In fact, recently, I was a little embarrassed at first. I thought, oh, don't be embarrassed. I put together a salad. And then I told, we just had a friend over that wife was out of town. I said, you know what? Tonight is leftover night. So, you know, you can add whatever you want to your salad. It was fine. It was fun. We laughed and I still had a little dessert with fruit and whipped cream, but it was, that's what makes it all better. But, it was all about just spending time together. Join a walking group. When you walk, you talk. I've enjoyed times that I walk with a group just because of that. It's amazing how much you can catch up on a life. Mentor someone beginning their career. And this is especially meaningful. People that are confused about AI, about technology. And volunteer where your experience can really make a difference. There are so many opportunities. And if you're looking for opportunities, join a church. I tell you, there are so many opportunities there. And it's not all about you, it's about serving. Fun, impact, and purpose expands when shared with others. Relationships often become the greatest source of both encouragement and opportunity. And no rhythm remains just perfect forever. Life changes, health changes, careers change, families change. Ah, I just, if you're listening to this, you might be going, oh, yeah, you are saying it. Everything changes. And that's why regular evaluation is just so essential. So every few months, just take the time to evaluate what's working well, what feels out of balance, what should I stop doing, and what deserves greater attention. Purposeful people, they're not rigid, they're adaptable. They continually make small little adjustments that keeps them moving toward their larger mission. And your base rhythm reflects your priorities. And at the end of the day, our calendars reveal what we truly matter. If everything feels urgent, nothing is truly important. It's all the same. Purposeful living means intentionality, and it says yes to the right things. And just as importantly, saying no to many good things that don't align with our mission or our core values. Again, if you've not identified those core values in a while, take time to do so. That appendix in Stop Circling has a great guide. And the beautiful reality of mid-career is that you now possess something incredibly valuable, experience, Wisdom, perspective, relationships, skills. Even if you're just journaling, put those notes down. That could be an article someday. It could be a post on social media. These assets position you to create a lifestyle that not only benefits you, but also serves others in meaningful ways. And as a lifelong musician, I've learned that every memorable piece of music, it has a rhythm. Some movements are quite energetic and others are quiet and reflective. There's crescendos, getting louder, decrescendos, getting softer, moments of rest, and beautiful transitions. When the rhythm is removed, the music loses its power and its drive. Life is much the same. Let's apply this for your next movement. You're now composing the next movement of your own story. Don't allow distractions to determine its tempo. Create intentional monthly rhythms that provide vision, and then develop weekly rhythms that build momentum. And if you've not created that chart yet of your monthly and weekly rhythms, do so now. Don't put this off. Practice those daily habits that reinforce your purpose and values. They don't need to be based on anybody else's values and purpose. Those are yours. Protect your time for your family. Pursue meaningful work that doesn't just leave you stressed, but that energizes you. Invest in your health. So important. Pay attention. Be proactive. This includes diet and exercise. Do your research. Don't just take things for granted. Don't just say, oh, the doctor tells me to do this. Make sure you do your research and serve others generously. Continue learning and growing. And that's the beauty of the power of after. Your most purposeful chapter may still be ahead, not because life suddenly just becomes easier, but because you've learned to live with greater intention. And the secret isn't complicated. Create a simple system with daily, weekly, and monthly rhythms that support the life that you want to live. Then faithfully put that plan into action. Over time, those small, consistent choices build a life of purpose, fulfillment, and lasting impact. Thanks so much for joining me. Make sure you connect with me. I have some programs, some mentorship programs that you can jump on. Make sure that you do that. I'm starting a whole new little program that's easy to join with a new book that's coming out this fall. So make sure you connect with me, that you get on our newsletter, goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter, and that you listen to every single episode that you subscribe. Thanks so much again, Deborah Johnson, and I'll look forward to being with you again next time. So bye-bye for now. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. I love bringing you insights to help you maximize your skills, resources, and experience at mid-career and beyond, so that you can make your next chapter your most impactful and purposeful yet. I'm Deborah Johnson, and I can't wait to be with you again next time on the Power of After show.